Listen, I hear you, and I agree with you. The problem is sometimes it's very complicated to find high paying loads. You can try everything, you've done everything, but it's still difficult to find lucrative loads. So in today's conversation, I want to explain to all our viewers how to find freight dispatchers who always book you for high paying loads. Okay, this is a tutorial on dispatch services for owner operators. So if you're an owner operator out there and you are interested in today's conversation, I want you to stick around because you're going to love it. I guarantee. You know, the Awesome Sweaty Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic because I'm doing marvelous. If you are doing as blessed and wonderful as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka. Now let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to explain to you how to find freight dispatchers who always book you for high-paying loads, okay? This is a tutorial, as I said before, on dispatch services for owner-operators. But first things first, one thing you have to understand, one of the biggest questions that every owner-operator must address is whether to use a dispatch service to find loads or rely on self-dispatching. Boss, are you in that situation? In other words, you got to ask yourself, can you do things yourself? Are you comfortable looking for it, loads yourself? Or do you want to rely on a dispatch service? This is a quintessential question because it has financial impacts. It has financial implications on your bottom line. Okay, there is no universal right answer to that question, and there are many different factors that can make either choice the right option. So when making your decision, the most important thing to consider is probably cost. So boss, let me ask you a question. Would you mind paying someone to find the loads for you, or would you rather do it yourself? Okay, because dispatchers typically get paid a percentage of your earnings off of each load they find for you. So some dispatchers charge a flat rate, for example, $50 per load, but most higher quality dispatch services will charge an average of 5 to 10% for each load. So that can add up real fast, especially if you're a smaller operation. So big decision time, boss, big decision time. Do you want to pay someone 5 to 10% of your load, of each load, to find loads for you? In other words, you are paying them a commission, or do you have time for yourself to do it? Okay, money, and another thing, money. Do you have the resources? Okay, do you have the resources, and I mean logistical, monetary, and whatnot, to actually either pay someone or do it yourself? Because when I'm talking about logistical, I'm talking about not only the time, because you need to find time. Because the thing is, you have a business to run. You gotta make some bread. That's really important. But at the same time, you gotta find loads. In other words, you found a load, right? While you actually doing that load, while you hauling for that load, while you are actually hauling the load, you need to think about the next load, because come the end of the month, you have bills to pay, and those bills don't care if you find loads or not. So there is a pretty tricky question here. Now let me clarify for you what dispatch services for owner operators do, because it's really important. So the role of a truck or cargo van dispatch service is essentially to manage freight on behalf of owner operators or carriers. It is what it is. So a dispatcher's job involves locating loads, connecting with brokers, conducting negotiations, and eventually dispatching drivers and setting up their routes. In other words, somebody's just doing the work for you. You just come with your cargo van or truck, whatever. You just get the job done. But somebody has done the work for you beforehand. That's what dispatchers do. Sometimes dispatchers will also help with back office work, like reviewing truck drivers' logs and tracking their hours. Okay, and the best dispatchers may go even further, helping you maintain motor carrier compliance, manage delays, improve relationships with shippers, and more. So so you have to always think about cost versus availability. In return for those services, dispatchers take a portion of your earnings of each load they find, as I said before. Okay, but this could be really substantial. So it is important to understand that freight dispatchers are not the same as brokers. There is a huge difference here. There's a huge difference. So let me just break it down for you. A freight broker is a legal entity that serves as the middleman between the manufacturer or shipper who needs their freight moved and the carrier who can move that freight. okay? The freight broker is legally allowed to represent both the carrier and the shipper at the same time, but they shall never have a personal investment in either side. The dispatcher, on the other hand, is directly affiliated with the carrier and works on their behalf alone. So your dispatcher is working for you, boss, only you. Whereas the freight broker is working for neither entity, for neither side. Okay, so in fact, dispatchers are not legally allowed to represent manufacturers or shippers. So this is really important. Now, based on our experience, and we have been in this industry, not in this industry ourselves, but through our clients in this industry for the last 20 years to 30 years. So the thing is here is that it's better to have a dispatching service that actually takes care of everything. I mean, everything. Finding the loads, okay, taking care of the back office, doing your accounting, doing your motor, your regulatory things. It's just a lot easier to have to outsource the whole thing. Because boss, what I want you to do is just to be in your truck or cargo van and just deliver. That's all it is. You just want to focus on one thing and outsource the rest. They can charge you 10%, they can charge you 25%, they can charge you 20%. Believe me, it's a lot easier in the long run. So is it really worth it? I think I kind of answered that question a little earlier, but should owner operators use a truck or a cargo van dispatch service? Now, I'll just give you our answers, but I'm still going to go through the pros and cons of using a dispatch service, so you have a clear idea of all the situation is, what the situation is. So the main drawback here is cost. And so a lot of cargo van drivers or truck drivers, they don't want to pay 10%. They think it's too much because I'm the one doing the work anyway. You ain't doing anything. You're just finding the job for me. Why should you take 20%? Why should you take 5%, 10%? So you are giving someone else a significant part of your earnings for performing a function that could hypothetically you could do on your own, right? On the other hand, not having to worry about finding loads yourself can leave you free to spend more time on the road. That's what I just said. Because the whole thing is, when you have a cargo van or truck or a sprinter van, or you don't want to have empty miles. So those are killers. You don't want to have empty miles because you are paying for insurance. You are paying for maintenance. Even if you're driving empty, you're driving with an empty cargo. I mean, with an empty vehicle, right? So that means what? When you have more time to spend on the road, that means you may end up delivering more loads and thus earning more than you actually would if you tried to self-dispatch without a quality system in place. In addition, the best cargo van and truck dispatchers typically have good negotiating skills and go into conversations with brokers armed with knowledge about specific lanes and markets. So given that a higher rate will benefit them as well as you, freight dispatchers often end up negotiating better rates for loads than individual owner-operators can get on their own, okay? So one thing I want to say here is that, at the same time, a common misconception when it comes to dispatch services is that dispatchers are able to find loads that you couldn't find on your own. No, in most cases, that's not true. Since they're often using the same load boards as everybody else, they have access to the same loads that you could find on your own. The only difference is that they can spend the whole day searching those load boards, while an owner operator also has to spend time on the road. That's what I was just telling you, boss. That's what I'm telling you, okay? So when it comes to that, dispatchers can be very helpful. For example, they can make sure you maintain motor carrier compliance, manage relationships with shippers, and tackle any issues that may arise, okay? They can navigate unexpected delays while you are on the road. They can handle back office tasks. I'm talking about paperwork, billing, and collections. I just said this before. This is important, boss, because hey, listen, you have no clue about accounting. Do you understand what a financial statement is? Talk to me. Be really honest with me. Do you understand what billing is? Do you understand I don't know, collections is? Do you understand? So you don't understand that, and it is okay because you have your forte. You want to outsource the whole thing to someone. So let me talk to you now about how to self-dispatch as an owner-operator, because some people like to do things themselves, and that's fine. If you are in that category, that's fine too. I just want to talk to you about the self-dispatching process. So finding loads as an owner-operator means following the same procedure as a dispatcher, except that unlike a dispatcher, you are finding loads for yourself. So to accomplish this, boss, you need a load board that makes it easy to post your truck or cargo van and search for loads. And your load board should also offer thousands of loads posted each business day, so there is always something new to choose from. Very important. So one thing I want to say here is that, and when we talk about that, you have truck stop, you have dots, okay? And when you self-dispatch with a quality load board, you not only get access to the biggest freight marketplace available anywhere, and you also have the ability and the power to ensure you never miss the perfect load. And that's really important. You want to always chase the perfect load, because that means more money, boss. Okay, so freight dispatchers may try to convince you that the only way to find loads is to spend all day on a load board. But with a quality load board, you can actually set alerts so that you are always notified as soon as a load matching your search criteria pops up. That way you can spend more time behind the wheel without worrying about missing loads. Okay, so this is really important. Now, another thing, a quality load board will also give you the information you need to navigate broker negotiations, because you're going to have to negotiate with those brokers. Okay, for example, load boards provide data on specific lanes and market rates for each load based on thousands of real transactions that occur on their website. That means what? It means that you can always go into your negotiations prepared with the knowledge you would need to get the highest rates possible. So what I'm trying to say here is that as a self-dispatcher, you can certainly do things, not a problem. Now, the bottom line is, do you have the knowledge? Do you have the time? Do you have the communication skills? In other words, you want to haggle with the broker, so you have a clear idea how much you deserve. Obviously, if you don't use a dispatch service, you can get a higher rate, that's for sure. You can also try to be aggressive in negotiating and make sure you get the higher rate possible. It is totally possible. It depends on your skill set, boss. It depends on your skills, boss. Very important. So let me talk to you now about when it makes sense to self-dispatch, because I've said before that it is relevant, it is important to use a dispatch service, but there are cases where self-dispatch is really relevant. Yeah. So self-dispatching, I want to repeat, is not for everyone, but many owner-operators find it to be the right choice for their business. So you got to understand, to self-dispatch, you should be willing to regularly devote some time to searching for freight. In other words, every day for 1 hour or 2 hours in your calendar. I don't mean anything random here. It has to stick in the calendar. It has to be a permanent item in your calendar. Every day at 4 p.m., I'm just spending 2 hours on load boards trying to find loads. It is what it is. Every single day, boss, every single day. You also need to have that discipline. Okay, you should be willing to regularly devote time to searching for freight. That's number one. Number two, you need to have the discipline, and you need to have the confidence. See, you're gonna have a lot of time to negotiate with brokers, because on those load boards, you have freight brokers on those load boards who will want to have the lower price for you, and you want to have the highest price for yourself. So if you do choose to self-dispatch, boss, you will save money, since you don't have to give a percentage of your earnings to a dispatcher. That's very important to understand. Now, self-dispatching also lets you build your own relationships with shippers and manufacturers, which can prove incredibly valuable when it comes to growing your business. Okay, even better, self-dispatching gives you complete control over your business. Now, the thing here is that it's all about time, how much your time is worth. Okay, so given that many owner operators choose to start their own business because they want to gain control over their work, giving someone else the power to find your loads can seem counterproductive. So, big decision time, boss, big decision time. Do you have time right now to regularly, not randomly, regularly devote 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day trying to go on a load board, one load board or 3 or 2 load boards, and looking for loads? You have to do this every single day. You cannot slack here. You have to, and you cannot procrastinate. Do you have time for that, boss? Number two, can you negotiate? Do you have perfect communication skills? Do you have the expertise to talk to those freight brokers and actually eke out the best rate for you? If you answer yes to those two questions, then self-dispatching is for you. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Shorty Kiwi Show. So, we are still talking about how to find freight dispatchers. We spoke a lot about self-dispatching and dispatchers in general. Now, let me answer the question about finding dispatchers. How do you choose the right owner-operator dispatch service, or load board for that matter? Now, when it comes to choosing the right load board or freight or dispatch service, you have to think about what really matters to you, okay? Do you want to have, so when we talk about load board, do you want to have access to the largest or the largest nationwide freight marketplace, or you want to have access to the local freight marketplace? Does geography play a role for you? Okay, do you want to, so if you are choosing a dispatcher, things can be a little more complicated because there is no universally agreed upon best dispatch service, which means you are going to have to do some research to find the options that's right for you. Now, the first thing you need to do, boss, you need to make a list of what exact services you are looking for from your freight dispatcher. Be very granular here. Be very granular, very detailed for me, okay? Are you just looking for help finding loads, or do you want also help building customer relationships and managing back office tasks? How much help do you need? So knowing what you're looking for will give you a good place to start your search. So that's number one. Number two, you should start seeking out recommendations from people you trust. Talk to your peers about which dispatch services they use. Okay, you should also try to find reviews from real users online. Do some due diligence. Gather some intel that can help you get a sense of whether a dispatch company really delivers on everything you are looking for, because you are getting third-party commentary. Very important. So the third item is you need to consider cost. Okay, so first thing, the exact services you're looking for. Number two, recommendations and reviews. Number three, cost. How much does the dispatch service charge per load? Can you handle that amount in addition to all the other costs that are necessary to operate your business? Okay, is there a minimum amount you can charge per load to cover all those accumulated costs? Because you still need to make money, boss. You're not really running a charity here. This is a business, okay? So you need to have those numbers ready before you start speaking to a dispatch service, so you don't sign a contract that is not in your best interest, and you never, ever, ever want to do that. Let me talk to you now about gathering intel. I mean, it's important. I spoke about intel, due diligence, and whatnot. So how do dispatchers get loads? I think you need to have a clear understanding of how they do things so that you can be comfortable whether or not you can do it yourself as well. So the goal of a freight dispatcher is to find high quality, relevant loads for their clients. I've already established that concept, okay? It has to be high quality, relevant, and profitable. So once you have an owner-operator dispatch contract in place, it's up to the dispatcher to learn about your operation and which loads best fit your business. And they have to do a complete analysis of your operations to find that out. So some dispatchers will use their personal connections to find loads, or in many cases, they will use load boards to find freight for you. So just like anyone who self-dispatches, professional dispatchers also use load boards to find the right freight. In fact, freight dispatchers often use the exact same loads that an individual owner-operator has access to. The only thing is they have all day to do this. They don't drive. They don't have to be at the wheel. No. So dispatchers use those boards in the same way, either posting their clients' trucks and cargo vans and letting the system find a match or performing a search. Okay, so to search, all they have to do is put in the information about the truck or cargo van they are trying to fill, including the type, any special features it may have, and the lane's origin and the destination they are looking for. Okay, so The thing here is that you have to really think about what really matters for you. Okay, in the end, the choice between self-dispatching and using a dispatch service is a personal one for each owner-operator. Boss, what is yours? What is your option? Where are you at? Because the important thing to remember is that it's all about finding the right fit for you. If you hire a dispatch service, you need to make sure you have a dispatcher whose model will work for you. It's all about synergy, what we call, economic synergy. So, and if you self dispatch, make sure you are using the best load board on the market. Okay, it could be anything. We have covered this the most important load boards in the industry on another show. So, but the load board has to match what you are looking for. Very, very important. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. So in today's conversation, I was talking to you about how to find freight dispatchers who always book you for high-paying loads. So this was a tutorial on dispatch services for owner-operators. So I gave you, I started with just a basic overview. First things first, and is it worth it? Self-dispatch or not? Decision-making, finding dispatchers, gathering intel, and we are now at the recap section. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate that. God bless you. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.